My dad has always been my hero. I remember every day I saw my dad dressed in a soldier's uniform. I was so in love with that uniform. I didn't know what my dad was going to do. What was his job? I just knew he went to fight with Burmese soldiers and fought for our Mon people, for human rights, for our nation. I only wanted to be a hero like him. I couldn't wait to see my dad come home and talk with his friend about what had been doing and what they were going to do. I was always sitting beside him or bringing some tea or coffee for them so I could sit with them and listening to their exciting conversation. Every month, soldiers would return from the borders. They would always stay at my homes and celebrate their success. I loved to sit around them and listening to them tell their story about fighting with Burmese soldiers. I was so excited and always wanted to be like those girl soldiers. But when my dad knew my aspiration, he never allowed me to go with them. I always said to my dad, I want to be like them. I asked my dad, why can't I be like you? He just said, you are a girl. You have to be like your mom, not like me. Now, so many years later, I would tell that young girl not to have been upset by what her dad said to her. He loved me, he was right. My mother was a fantastic role model. She was strong and fought for her people in different ways. She brought up 5 children eventually on her own as my father was away so often. She cared for those who had been fighting and she helped keep up the strength and determination of the all Mon people around her. I want to be like her now. I don't want to hold a gun. I have spent time in New Zealand caring for our Mon community, and this is what is needed. My name is Koasorn. I come from Burma, but I am Mon. My father and his brother were soldiers in the Mon army, and so we couldn't return to Burma. My father had to live on the Thai border. The Burmese army came to our home. They burned our house. They raped the woman. My mother had to run away from our home. Burma is our country, but we could not return there. We could not live in Thailand. My family had to live like deep in the Thai border, and this is where I was born. We were forced to move from place to place to escape the Burmese army. We did not have a good life. We could not live in a page. I grew up speaking Mon, but later I had to learn to speak Thai. It was hard to practice our culture, and we were not Thai citizens. None of the Mon could go to school. We did not have proper food. We had no medicine. If you got sick there, you either stay alive or you die. Before my grandmother died, I went back once, dressed as a man. It was safe for me like that. I stayed for 3 days. If I stay longer, the Burmese army would come and take me and punish me and my family. My grandmother was sad because she did not see her son again. He could not attend his parents' funeral. It was terrible. We didn't want to become refugees. We love our country and we want to stay there. But our Mon people have no rights. We are a minority. We are discriminated against in our own country. So I applied to become a refugee and moved to refugee camp in Thailand. But the Mon were looked down on by the Burmese in the camp because we could not speak Burmese. The doctors and interpreters in the camp were all Burmese. One of my children was born on the Thai border. My other child was born in the camp in Thailand. The Mon were looked down on by the Thai, who said we were people with no country. They did not like the Burmese either. When my child was born, the Thai doctors treated me badly, even though I said in Thai, I'm not Burmese, I'm Mon. But they said, you come from Burma, to us you are Burmese. The Burmese in the refugee camp had fought with the Mon and even tried to kill us. We were scared all the time. They came looking for us and asked, are you Burmese? If you could speak Burmese, you could lie and say, yes, I'm Burmese. And they would leave. But we could do this. We could not speak this language, so we had to run away. One of our friends was bit so badly, he nearly died. One day I had a UNHCR interview for New Zealand. I didn't know what New Zealand was like. I didn't know at all where New Zealand was, but I was too afraid in the camp to stay there anymore. I said I would go anywhere far away from the camp. I was asked if I have family in New Zealand or Australia, and I said, I have cousins in Australia. I was told you could go to New Zealand in a few months, but you would have to wait a long time to go to Australia. But don't worry, Australia and New Zealand are close. So I thought New Zealand and Australia were like Burma in Thailand. I would be able to visit my cousin in Australia by traveling from New Zealand by car. So I said, yes, I will go to New Zealand. When I arrived in 2000 at the Mangere Refugee Resettlement Center, it was hard interpreting what is Burmese only because we were from Burma. But I could not speak Burmese and I could not speak English either. So I just did everything without really understanding. I started to learn to read and write English here in New Zealand. At RIF, the Refugee Education Program for Adult and Family at Koasorn College. Here where my life started. I became single mom when my marriage ended. I raised my 2 sons by myself. My children were looked after at the child care center at Koasorn College while I was studying in class. I studied hard for 3 years. It was extremely hard at this time to study, work, and be a mother and father at the same time. I started work as a part-time teacher assistant at RIF, where I help Mon people who cannot speak English or Burmese very well. Sometimes I also help Burmese Karen and Chin people. At the beginning of 2014, I got a part-time job at Red Cross as a cross-culture worker. This job is to help and support newly arrived refugees to start life and understanding New Zealand society. I am still involved with this. At the end of 2014, I got a full-time job at New World in Rumura as a checkout operator. Finally, I was working in a real job and I feel so proud of what I have achieved. I am very happy to live in this country because there are good opportunities here for my children and my people. It is hard for family being in different countries. My father is still on the Thai border. He's still in the Mon military. He wants the Mon people to have their own rights, their own democracy, and their own land. My mother and most of the rest of my family are in America. They had no choice. I am in New Zealand as a family. We wanted to go to the first country offered to us far away from the refugee camp. But refugees have no choice. We wanted to stay together with our family, but we could not choose. We had to go where we are sent. But the countries we went to are much better than the refugee camp where we live behind. So we try our best to do well where we are. People from Burma are not always Burmese. In Burma, there are many different ethnic groups. We are all culturally different. Not all of us can speak Burmese or are Burmese. I want Mon culture, language, and land recognized. I want our life back. I want our culture to be alive. Today, most Mon people have more rights in Burma than before and also in Thailand. There is a time when we really start to promote our culture without the fear or death or imprisonment. Young Mon people are proud of their culture and we celebrate as a community in New Zealand. Thank you. First, I want to thank Riff for always supporting me. And a special thanks to Vivian and Break Breast for their wonderful support for the Mon community. Thank you.